friends, I'm Rocky Outcrop. This is 100% quality technical analysis. So thank you so much for joining me today to look at it. And I'm just checking out the art I've got on the go here. I quite like this, okay? So I know this might seem like a load of noise to you, but then if you've been subscribed to the channel since the start of the year here, then you've this maybe is nice and brings back some memories of where we've come from along the way. And I was just zooming out and taking a look at all of this and kind of contemplating it and thinking, wow, we've done quite a lot on this channel so far throughout the year. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me. And I just wanted to take a look then as well, start off the show and kind of just draw in, where are we now? Just where are we now? Where have we come from and all that sort of stuff. And just bear in mind a couple of things. So like looking over to the left, you can see that we're up above these highs here on Valentine's Day, or just thereabouts actually. Or so. We're not above them yet at the minute, but whatever. And this high over here in October, and we're in around this area of quite a lot of price action, really, in around the 10,000s after the highs in 2019 when we came back down the way, and then we were kind of going in a big sort of a descending triangle for quite a while here, and then broke towards the downside. And I was just kind of wondering, where are we in relation to things? And that's kind of from a broad point of view where the prices are just now, right in here, at a big area of support and resistance over the long term. Okay, and I also thought I would put on a Fibonacci retracement just between this low down here and the high up here. So the low down here on the 13th of March and the high up here on the 17th of August, and just see where we've come from in relation to that. Okie dokie, so let's just do that, and all the noise appears back on the charts again. So I'll just have to zoom on in here to kind of see where's this ending at, just there. Got it all covered up. So now we know where the 236 is on this one is at 10,421, and the 50% is in here at 8,148, and the 618 retracement on this is down there at 7,000 down to 6,850. And 6,850, what is that? Looking over to the left here. So let's just kind of look at 6,800, 7,000 area down to 6,000 and see where that's had in terms of the importance of these price targets for us in a long jeepers, just trying to get a sentence out, Rocky. Just how this has interacted with the price in the past. And you can see here this big chunk of price action where we were having a descending triangle in around this area. And you can see that there's this sort of similarity in terms of its significance price-wise for us and all of that. So I thought that's kind of maybe a broader view of where we've come from, and if we were to have a retracement down the way, what that could look like in its sort of reasonable worst format for us, just to kind of outline everything in terms of the broad perspective of things should that actually happen. Of course, there's plenty of things left on there towards the top side. Various Fibonacci's given us ideas about where those things could go as well. Just that there's, we could go up as high as, say, for instance, over here at the 1618 retracement from the highs in August down to where we've had our most recent of lows. We could be looking up towards $14,000 or so. So like, there's your upside, in terms of big movements. In terms of the 618, we could be looking up to 11,500 or 11,600 or so for that 618 golden pocket area, 11,500 to 11,600. So that there would be the kind of the upside if we did want to do the equivalent of these ones towards the downside. So that's what I'm looking at from a broader perspective. Now let's zoom on in. Been at this how long now? 4 minutes. That's the broad term perspective, and I just wanted to get these numbers out there. Let's zoom on in now, but starting off here actually over on the CME charts. Checking in with this, we've just done the measured move off the back of this ascending, broadening wedge type structure and come down and broken below the 236 here, Fibonacci retracement. If I just zoom on in a bit, you'll get to see this a bit clearer. And what we've actually managed to see happen so far today is that we've come up and retested this area, but not actually managed to move up above it and as yet really sustain anything up there in terms of a decent enough time frame, such as the 4 hours here. So we're still below that, making this invalid kind of for the meantime, until such times as those areas are retaken properly. we can kind of disregard that mid 11,000s golden pocket zone that we just spoke about from the broad type point of view until such times as you know that we're properly above that 10,485 area. Oh God. This is what we saw happen just there now as we moved down past the 618, past the 236 here on this chart. This is kind of funny, where we had these red and green lines just kind of saying, movements above here would obviously have been quite positive, leading towards that potential 618 that we were just talking about. Movements down below the 10,750 red line, obviously quite bad, came in, tested that, then actually broke it the next day. And where we find ourselves right now is just here at this line here drawn out, which is the 236 at 10,421. So those downward side targets, to put things back into context again, going from those lows down the way, could be down, towards those lower areas that we already spoke about. And that's a potential should we break down then past this area that we're at just now. So you can see how these two, how there's a sort of these two crucial lines in terms of the real sort of micro picture, and there was the sort of the macro picture where we're looking at in terms of the crucial sort of lines to be aware of. I didn't mark any of them in on the big time frame when I had it off the charts, but just kind of like looking at them like this sort of style. But you got the message there. And what we've done so far is had a 618 retrace on this one. Now we haven't come down and done any of the bigger moves off of this. And where could, if we were to see this having been a lower high, come in at, if this, this is a low here, there's a high, a low, lower high. Where could we then see a lower low come in at? And sort of where you could maybe look down towards maybe is that 9,000 area, or perhaps the 9,500, where we have these Fibonacci extensions down here, but also we've got this grey fuzzy line on the charts there at 9,700 or so, pointing out this previous area of upper side kind of resistance and sort of support you could have thought here in the right side of that shoulder, or in this area when we broke above it. You can see that most previously it was resistance. Now is it going to actually then come in and be retested as support, having broken above it very, very quickly whenever that actually did happen? So what would that look like? And in terms of oscillators, then how are we coming in so far? So if we had yesterday set in lows, gone down towards that 10,200 area, and actually gone in and set a lower low after had this movement towards the top side, then we would maybe have had bullish divergence, but that hasn't happened yet. And there's quite a distance to go really in terms of dollars where we could see this come down the way, and there's the potential for this to come in without bullish divergence. Although the stochastics does look like it's fairly likely to have it. And why does it look like that? Well, because we can see here this high that's come in is very much higher than the previous high over there on the stochastics, and that is of course hidden bearish divergence that's happening now that this looks to be a local high of sorts. So unless we see a lower low, we could look at this as being potentially the start of the upward movement, but we'd have to, we're keeping a keen eye on that 10,129 area to see that we're, staying above these zones. That's kind of in and around these. You could as well maybe look towards the 786 in terms of this Fibonacci. If we were to find support there and then go towards the top side, maybe we see this turning around and at that point. But also that's very, very, very we've got this 10,750 area up above us in terms of resistance. The green line for us is 11,110, and the 236 where we are just now is at 10,427 in terms of this bigger march up to the highs in August Fibonacci retracement. And we've got this line down here looking at us, and that of course lines up with this gap that we have over here in the CME charts, seeing the same sort of scenario playing out over here, where you could have potentially had actually a different scenario here where you don't actually have this bullish divergence on the go between these two. You don't have the hidden bearish divergence, on the go between these two highs during this downward trend, which is somewhat interesting. We're also looking to see, will this evolve? So far it's going like kind of sort of to plan if we had an inverted head and shoulders down here on the stochastics, but where could that take us to if this was to be the case? If this is a downward sloping effort, then maybe we got a head to come in here if this sort of being predictive ahead of the time, if that were to be the case, and we'd be looking down here towards this area for the head, perhaps then coming back up, maybe retesting it and then moving towards the top side, following on from that if that were to be the case, currently we're looking at the downward trend on 24-hour time frame being in chop zone still on the CMEs and on the spot price charts, although that's not picked up yet, which it could do if we see any of these downward side targets happening. And then, that's kind of given us an indicator as at the same time as the price action probably would correlate with this movement here to give us some sort of better pulse feeling of fingers on the pulse. Hidden bearish divergence again on the MACD down below, without bullish divergence between the most previous two lows to that. On the 4-hour time frame then, how long is this video now? 10 minutes and 32, so that's cool. We're doing all right here. I'll wrap up fairly soon, I suppose. Quite a lot of information in this video again, having the benefit of starting off from the bigger time frame. Right, okay, so what else am I looking for here then? Maybe perhaps taking a look here at the pitchfork that we've had in the go. Came in here, look at from this broad perspective and all of that, this has really offered up some great correlation with the supports, resistances, and whatever over this period of time since we've had it drawn on the charts. I think you'll agree, looking at the extension stuff. So I appreciate that there's noise in the chart. It's hard to see, perhaps, if you're tuned in for the first time. By the way, if you are, hit subscribe. A lot of good value in these videos for people. If you've not hit subscribe yet, then of course you're silly Billy. But so looking at this, you can see that there's a bit of noise here. But what this is a pitchfork in the inside here. The blue area being the sort of the upper warning zone, the middle zone here. You've got your upper line just here, your upper warning line just here where I'm pointing. Then you've got the median line of it here in red in the middle of this green area. Then you've got your lower line here and your lower warning line. And we've extended this thing out as well, and find with a couple of parallel channels on either side here, drawn in, taking the same size measurement as one of these chunks here and sticking it down below. And what we can see having happened in this period of time is that we came down here, putting this little bit of a bottoming formation in it around about this, in terms of the bodies that being supported in around about this sort of second, the extension line here past the Fibonacci, past the pitchfork, cheapers creepers, and then on down to the median line of the parallel channel and the next one, the middle area of one of these blocks. And what we've seen then subsequent to that was it came up here, was resisted by the lower warning line, moved up here to the lower line, right to the median line of the pitchfork, bang on there with a sort of 50% retracement area. And then we've come back down again. And what we see happening just now is that we're in here at this lower line here of the pitchfork, the lower warning line. So that's interesting. You can see then, of course, in terms of the significance, when I went in there to the smaller, so the sort of the micro aspect of things, the significance of this. And as well, I suppose if you wanted to say that things are really heating up, then what we could look at as well, it would be another little sort of brief glance at a lower time frame now that we've straddled this around on the 4-hour one. So let's just do this for the laugh. In terms of the 15 minutes, you're looking at this as being a potential symmetrical triangle area just here, with then the potential to sort of move past this area either way. So if we were to come outside of it then and then go towards the downside, what you're looking at is coming back down towards that the sort of the extension to the pitchfork area. Perhaps obviously the full measured move really just takes you down below this 236 over here at 10,140. Then the sort of the textbook one takes us back down to outside of this zone anyway, looking at this area, this key area again here for support. Right, towards the top side, then just put this back to being the big old one, and you're looking up here towards, just coming away from this zone here, and asking questions then about, can we actually go up here? If you do textbook style 60%, you're asking questions in at this previous sort of area of support resistance area just here in this zone. So that's kind of what to be looking out for in the terms of the wee time frames. So that, have I moved in that by accident? Yes, I am. Undo. That is going to do us for today. And I will just sort of wrap up here with saying fake out zone on, that's too high. Fake out zone on this is really going to have to be considered to be in about like this sort of territory in the near future. And again, then just looking up to the weekly time frame, the 21 EMA on the weekly is down there at 10,100. Comes down and retest that area. Could see the prices going below sub 10k again. Of course, as part of the overall sort of schema of things, whilst just being in an area where we're kind of testing this thing. Looking back in the past, you can see that if we do go down below it though, and actually open and close properly below it on this time frame, then of course we're looking at the potential for a serious enough move as you go past these things. So this would be this is obviously a key zone for us. And in terms of the overall upward structure on this thing, it's still all in place. Where with this high, with a low here, a high here, I have to say a higher low over here, and say a higher high up here. And so far we've got a higher low all the way until we see the prices go down below 9,000, and you're still looking at putting in a higher low overall in terms of the 21, in terms of the weekly time frame. So there we go, with the moving averages as well chucked in there for good measure. In terms of the low term time frames, looking down here at the 1 hour and 21 just above our head here at 10,486, you can see that offering up a good deal of false signals, but also you can tell the trend for the period of that day in a sense when you go above and below it. So let's see, this would be a decent thing to get taken out, but what would happen now? Who knows? It doesn't look like we've got much upward side potential unless we actually start breaking these things in on the way up all the different time frames. Right, okay, so there was this golden crossover here on the 2 hour time frame, and now it looks like we could have a change around coming in here. And if these were to test, what we'd need to see happen is for the prices to kind of stay in and around about this area and no higher really overall over the next wee while. So in terms of this time frame and the longer term moving averages, and what we're looking at here is that if this were to have a negative cross on it, we would be seeing the 200 simple kind of giving us our resistance. And if it's going to not cross, then we're going to have use the 200 simple at least as support over the period of the next week or two. So we can see how that all emerges over time. Likewise with the 3 hours, in terms of the positions of these things, we'd have to come up though and really test that, or else this will cross over pretty soon. 4 hour time frame, of course, still being in that death cross condition, having moved past the 50. 12 hours where we find it back on golden cross style format again, and of course the 200 simple here offering up support for us. Movements down below it could see us coming in here and putting in something like the head of a Head and Shoulders that we're talking about over there on the 24-hour time frame on the CME charts earlier on. Is that right? If I put the drawings back on, will we see? Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Cool, nice one. Now I can say cheerio. Future. And what else are we looking at? Yeah, so the last couple of things I would say are to be aware of course, Ethereum, which we've, you can see the video for it is coming up. I'm about to go and take a look at that, and to look to the CME gap, of course, as well. Previous lows, all that jazz. This is a 15 minutes, so it's hard to see anything on it. It's hard to see like this thing. I think this is quite nice. I like it. It speaks to my madness. Obviously, I'm the one that put all the different colors and stuff on here, so that's why I like it probably. And yes, that's cool. Okay, sounds. I'm going to check out now, but I just want to say, look at Ethereum. Got a couple of gaps here as well on the GBTC charts. If we do see upside potential, we've got this gap here that's just emerged above our heads, a little bit up there, and there is still this one remaining on the charts up above. If we were to see a sort of a lower high coming in here in terms of this post Head and Shoulders area that I'm just looking at here in the 12-hour time frame. So, if we were to come in and come back and challenge the neckline, perhaps come up here, fill in that gap and go down the way, that's potential. But, that's whatever. That's enough. That's enough. Cool. Okay, right. Nice one. Outro. And I'll catch you next time. By the way, hit that subscribe button if I haven't said it already. Take part in the Bitcoin giveaway. 10 Satoshis for every view the video gets in this month. Winner picked at random from comments that include the phrase "Rocky Rock" or something to that effect. And yeah, cool. Okie dokie. All that good stuff. Catch you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in. YouTube.com/Rocky Outcrop. Share with your friends.